All right. Game one of this best of three. Absolute banger incoming. Gressvon is our first map. Spawning in the lower right-hand corner. It is the Red Protoss Classic. Looking very strong lately, but up against a very tough Zerg player in the upper left-hand corner for the Shopify Rebellion, Scarlett. Scarlett is a fan favorite, and yeah, a lot of the commentators do end up gravitating towards Scarlett's matches. It's unfortunate because I usually try to, I guess, avoid where everybody else is when they're casting. So I usually don't end up casting Scarlett just because everybody rushes to cast her games. And I'm like, I'll do something people aren't covering a ton of, right? But in this case, we didn't really have too much of an option. We could have covered Dark versus Firefly, but somebody else was covering that as well. Dave Testa was covering that one. So I was like, you know what? Let's do it. Let's check out the Scarlett match. This Classic is always a very fun player to watch as well. Should be an excellent series. And the winner of this will either be up against Solar or Nightmare. The bottom side of the semifinals here. So we have pretty much guaranteed bangers for the rest of the night. Hopefully a couple of barn burners and maybe even a slobber knocker. If we're lucky, we'll get a slobber knocker. I'm going to grab some water real quick while we have the opening moments of this game here. Nothing particularly exciting happening, so bear with me for just a moment. Oh, Lings are still playing Ring Around the Rosie with the probe here. It's funny, they can like technically kill the probe, but it just takes so long because the shields start regenning. It's all right, the Adept will save it. Classic going for a Stargate opener. I expect fairly standard play out of Classic, but Classic's the kind of player that can mix it up. And none of the builds are usually particularly crazy in a tournament like this, but ooh, a nice drone surround. Kill that Adept, actually. Citizen's Arrest. Classic definitely has the ability to pull out some crazy-ass builds, but it feels like he just plays every standard build very well. But he doesn't just have, like, one build or one style he'll go for. He can do an aggressive build and then follow it up with a macro game and then follow it up with even like a cheese almost, like a very highly aggressive build, all-ins, that kind of thing. He's a very, very well-rounded player. And I think that's one of the things that makes it really hard to fight against him. And also part of the reason why coming back from his military service, it took him a little bit longer to get back up to this level. We were just talking about that. He may very well be the second best Protoss in Korea right now. Really the third best Protoss in the world, probably. Just behind Hero and Max Pax. Is because he's such an all-around player that it took him a while to get used to each and every build, each and every style that Protoss can pull out. But I feel like he's gotten there. Cheeky Oracle play here, but with 3 queens, that's going to be a dead Oracle. 6 dead drones, but 2 dead Oracles. Okay. All right, Classic. I'm talking you up over here, and then you lose both Oracles for 6 drones. That is not ideal. Lost that Adept earlier on, too, and I don't know, it may not seem like the biggest deal in the world, but this style of play from Classic, you really need to keep those units alive and just keep getting more and more damage and keep threatening more and more damage with them. Scarlett just keeps killing all the units. Oh, drone surround, but there's nothing else here to do damage. There's no queens this time, so the Adepts are kind of all right with that. And finally, Classic is getting some worthwhile damage, trading 3 Adepts for, I think that was, 9 more drones then, on top of all that. Evening up those trades a little bit. Losing the Oracles, though, is still very painful. The Adepts is fine, honestly. This is a blink build. Losing the Adepts is fine. There's Stalkers and soon to be a shield battery here to defend the third. But the Oracles are less fine. The Oracles should really be on the other side of the map, still keeping an eye on what's going on. They could be here to help defend the Lings if Scarlett decided to Ling Flood. But really, they're just so good at scouting. They're so good at keeping the Zerg back and focused on home, focused on defense. Because the moment you let your queens walk away, those Oracles can come back in and get a few more drone kills. And they can get a scout on any sort of cheeky play going on. Scarlett doesn't seem to be doing anything too cheeky, so perhaps those Oracles wouldn't be quite as useful. They can also detect things, though, so could be quite helpful in clearing this creep. Blink and +1 about to finish for these 7 Stalkers. Might force a cancel on this base, though. Scarlett's going to go for him. She's actually going to let that base finish. I'm really surprised about that. More Stalkers are showing up. She'll transfuse the base, but that is a dead hatchery. And it feels like maybe an overcommittal to the hatchery, a cancel there. I mean, obviously, in hindsight, a cancel would have been better, but it felt a little strange to let that finish with about 200 hit points with the Stalker still just standing there. Now, the Lings are looking for a surround. They do have +1. So when they get on top of these Stalkers, they will make mincemeat of them. But I love that behind this Classic is getting into Colossi. They're not quite here yet, though. And there's not much to defend this third base. The Lings are trying to get in, working on the shield battery. But it looks like it'll take too long. They're going to just leave. I think they actually want to come home and help defend. Because these Stalkers are doing a really good job right now, starting to kill some queens. I think Classic's going to blink out over the mineral line. But it looks like a Stalker or 2 will die in the meantime. I'm going to go for a recall. Ooh. 2 more Stalkers die on the way out. Okay, you know what? That ends up being not too bad there for Scarlett, getting a few Stalkers on the retreat. It's not great, though. Scarlett is not on a huge drone count. This 4th base is up, but it's barely running. 5th base is being taken, but Scarlett's economy is definitely not where she wants it to be at the moment. And now Classic is into Colossi. And for Colossi with thermal lands, just, I mean, Lingbait Hydra just does not do well against it. I feel like Classic might want a couple of force fields here, just to try to block off some of the Banelings from being able to get in, things like that. It's going to be tough for all of these light units to get on top of these units. The next step, I think, is going to be to get into Hive, get into those Vipers. We do also see the Lurker Den on the way. Lurkers, not great, not terrible against this army. They can really help keep them back, though. They outrange the Colossi, at least. They're one of the few units that outrange a Colossus. Ooh, Manly's going to try to come in on the top side. There are no sentries here, so no force fields available. Scarlett is going to have to pull the drones. We're going to need to see some fancy Blink Bike or some fancy hot pickups here from Classic as the Banelings try to come in, but Classic using this clip, really utilizing this clip to his advantage here. Running to the Colossi up it, lifts up into the Prism, and I mean, that's just GG. It feels so sudden, but Scarlett with not enough army to take down Classic's units. And Classic takes game number 1. Pretty quick, pretty straightforward, that one. And I think that was just Classic keeping the pressure on and keeping Scarlett behind where she wanted to be, so she's never able to get back up into it. He didn't give her time to breathe, time to get into those Lurkers, time to get into the Vipers. Suddenly, Classic is just there with the army. GG. Game number 2 is going to be on Neo Humanity. Oh, we got Cats casting as well. Ooh, hell yeah. I'm happy to see it. Cats, who's been casting like full time with the ESL stuff. I feel like it's just been really busy. Still makes time for us. Stays up late for us. I know Steadfast is staying up late too, but he's kind of a degen, so kind of makes sense. Cat's way less of a degen. Everybody knows that. All right, game number 2. We're going to Neo Humanity, spawning in the lower right-hand corner. It is our red Protoss. Classic. And his opponent in the upper left-hand corner for the Shopify Rebellion in the blue, Scarlett. Going for that extractor trick. I wonder what the math is on the extractor trick. I feel like it's changed over time. I guess a lot of it depends like on what build you're going to be doing. Probe's going to get the block on the base, so Scarlett's not going to be able to take that base. The extractor trick is a really funny thing. Like, is it worth spending that, like, 13 minerals or whatever it is in order to get that drone out quicker? I don't know. I trust Scarlett, though. So far, pretty standard opening. It's a bit unfortunate, actually. The hatch block on this map, I feel like, is extra painful because I have seen some Zergs take this third, and if you take that third, you can mine out these minerals, easy peasy. But without the natural there, you can't really take this third. You can't really take that base as easily as this one. So it kind of forces the Zerg into a specific third base, which Classic might be able to take advantage of. Yeah, extractor trick into hatch block is pain. That is pain for sure. But you kind of have to expect the hatch block at this point. I don't know, maybe the timing was earlier than Scarlett would have expected. It's funny, there's a couple of different strategies for not getting hatch blocked, and one of them is just to take like a really early hatch. I guess that's really the only strategy to not get hatch blocked. That or like hiding the drone. That doesn't always work though. The Protoss sometimes are too smart for that, or they're too bad for that. If you're down at my level, in the trash level that I'm at in StarCraft, and you send your drone down and you're like, okay, I'm gonna hide it and wait till the probe leaves, but then the Protoss is bad. Sometimes I'm the Protoss in this situation too, and the probe gets clicked here, but then they forget about it and it just sits there, and the Zerg has just got the drone over here. It's just like waiting, but the probe just isn't moving just because the Protoss kind of forgot about it. It's always a little painful too. It's the classic, you won because you're bad. Is that another dead adept? Damn. Does get a couple of kills though, but always surprising to see that first adept go down. Pretty much the exact same opening here out of Classic. Hopefully this time he doesn't lose the 2 oracles. I feel like those are crucial. It ended up not really mattering last game. It's one of those things though, depending on who you're playing and what they end up going for, it could be huge. I feel like Dark is the kind of player that if he kills your oracles and suddenly you don't know what's coming, that's when the Nidus drops. You know, that's when the Roachhorn and the Nidus in the main go down, and all of a sudden you just got units in your base, or maybe just Ling Queen. And again, already an Oracle gonna fall before any drones die. Second Oracle taking a bunch of damage. It does escape, but only 2 drones going down for that 1 Oracle. It's not the trade Classic was really looking for. 3 Adepts coming in now. This is exactly the opening from Classic we saw last game. And honestly, it looks like Scarlett's doing pretty much the same exact thing, too, with this Evo Chamber, which I think got +1 last game. The very forward 4th base here for Scarlett is intriguing. The Oracle's going to spot it. And is going to also maybe think, huh, that's intriguing. It feels like Scarlett wants to get aggressive with that. Classic is, again, getting into Blink. We'll have to see if Scarlett can do something different in this game from last game. And already losing a lot less drones. You remember last game? At this point, there were 17 drones killed in the game. Wow. This game, there's 4. And while Classic has kept a few more of those early game units alive, I actually think this is better for Scarlett in this game. Like, pretty significantly better for Scarlett. 47ness. Thank you so much for the 29-month resubscription. That's such a long time. All right, Classic's going to try to put some pressure onto this hatch. There are a bunch more Lings on the way, but +1 is still pretty far. And again, it feels like the 4th base might just die here. The Adepts are really going to help against the Lings as well if they come in. I know it's only 3 Adepts, but they're so much better than the Stalkers are. The Oracle can also turn on. If the Lings go for the surround, the slow zone should help the Stalkers as well, I think. Yeah, Oracle doing decently here. Stalker's going to have to blink away. And really nice micro from Classic. He's going to go ahead and keep the pressure on here. More and more Lings coming out. That +1 is nearly done, but this 4th base is nearly dead. And you know what? Classic is going to die for it. No, he doesn't die for it. Targets down a Queen and then gets surrounded by the Lings here. Scarlett actually taking a pretty nice trade, but again, fighting into that slow zone. Not really doing her any favors here. She's got to pull back up to the high ground, back up to this hatch, which is at 80 hit points, and it feels like Classic is just going to die for this hatch in a second here. Still targeting down these Queens, feeling like it's better to take these little trades. Man, these Lings are really having a tough time. Classic really using this map to his advantage. I almost wonder if it'd be worth it for Scarlett to just dive on this cooling tower and try to get the kill just so Classic can't keep doing this. Because right now, this is super duper painful. There are roaches on the way out to try to deal with this, but Scarlett, she's sending some Lings in a counterattack. There's a cannon here, but no shield battery. Oh, but the Citizen's Arrest takes care of that Ling run by. And the Ling count is just never getting up high enough to be able to defend this. This base is up, but it's not doing anything. There's no drones at it. Scarlett's at 61 workers, and it finally goes down as Classic takes it out, and Classic's economy is just skyrocketed above Scarlett's in the meantime, as it's just been pure units out of Scarlett non-stop to try to hold off these Stalkers. Classic has lost 10, but by God, look at these trades. By golly, by gosh. These are some insane trades. 190 units have been lost for Scarlett to the 15 of Classic. I know they're more expensive, but like, Jesus. Those are some numbers, man. 174 Lings. All right, the cooling towers go down. Classic doesn't want to have to deal with a wraparound from that side. Storm is almost done. Oh my God, the Stalkers blink forward to try to get some Ravagers. I feel like as soon as Storm finishes, Scarlett's army is just going to stand absolutely no chance. It already feels like it doesn't stand much of a chance. Lings are going to try to sneak in. This is now a full wall. Wouldn't hate to see it. Yeah, exactly. A cannon on the backside of the wall. And it will go down here. Stalkers blink to the wrong side of town. You know what? They've got a shield battery friend. Scarlett is going to try to come in for the full surround, but here are those storms landing on the Ravagers, and that is just going to be GG. Classic has too much, and Scarlett is forced to tap out.